Project Hail Mary, 2026, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and starring Ryan Gosling as Ryland Grace, is a faithful yet streamlined and comedic adaptation of Andy Weir's 2021 novel. It blends hard sci-fi problem-solving, heartfelt buddy comedy, and optimistic wonder as a lone astronaut confronts an extinction-level cosmic threat while forging an unlikely interstellar friendship. The film runs about 2 hours 36 minutes, with Gosling delivering a charming, vulnerable performance, supported by Sandra Huller as the no-nonsense Eva Stratt and James Ortiz, voice/puppeteer, as the endearing alien Rocky. The movie opens in classic, lonely astronaut fashion and interweaves present-day spaceship survival with Earth flashbacks that gradually restore Grace's memories. It emphasizes science, international cooperation, clever improvisation, and emotional bonds over pure action, while adding Lord/Miller-style humor, karaoke, witty banter, running gags like Grace's crude models. Below is a detailed scene-by-scene summary broken into roughly 15-minute segments, based on the film structure, which closely follows the book's dual timeline approach but condenses some science and crew backstory for pacing. The film opens with Ryland Grace, Ryan Gosling, slowly regaining consciousness in a sterile medical bay aboard the spaceship Hail Mary. He's disoriented, floating slightly before artificial gravity kicks in, noticeably stronger than Earth's 1.5 g. 2 other crew members lie dead in nearby beds, preserved but clearly deceased for some time. A medical robot with nanny-like arms assesses him, running cognitive tests, what's 2 + 2, and feeding him nutrient sludge while prompting for his name to unlock systems. Grace has severe amnesia from the long-duration coma. He explores the small room, noticing familiar lab equipment that triggers vague recognition. He's a scientist or teacher. Flashbacks begin. On Earth, he reads an email about astronomer Irina Petrova's discovery of a mysterious infrared Petrova line arc from the Sun to Venus. Back in the present, he times falling objects and realizes the gravity is wrong for any known body in our solar system. The ship's computer shows an angular anomaly and high velocity, 11,872 km/s, hinting at relativistic travel. He panics mildly but methodically tests his environment, building a simple pendulum to rule out centrifuge gravity. The segment ends with him breaking down as the weight of isolation hits, while flashbacks show the sun subtly dimming and early probe data revealing microscopic black dots moving on Venus. Grace continues exploring. He accesses more of the ship, control room, lab, dorm, fuel bays packed with strange cylinders, and finally recalls his name, Dr. Ryland Grace, unlocking the main systems. The mission crest reads, Project Hail Mary. Screens show he's decelerating toward an unfamiliar star system, Tau Ceti. Flashbacks deepen. Grace is a San Francisco middle school science teacher who once wrote a controversial paper arguing life doesn't need water, getting him fired from academia after a heated conference outburst. Eva Stratt, Sandra Huller, a steely Dutch administrator with near-unlimited UN authority, recruits, essentially conscripts, him after the Arclight probe confirms extraterrestrial microbes, astrophage, that consume stellar energy and emit infrared propulsion. In the present, Grace dresses the dead crew, Commander Yao and engineer Olesya Ilyakina, in uniforms and solemnly jettisons their bodies into space with a respectful farewell. He realizes this was meant to be a 3-person suicide mission. The others died en route from complications. He sends initial data probes, the Beatles, playfully named after Beatles members in the book but similar here, toward Earth. Humor emerges as Gosling's Grace talks to himself, quipping about his dire situation. The segment builds tension with calculations showing limited fuel and time. Flashbacks dominate as Grace's memories flood back. Stratt forces him into a global task force. Labs worldwide, no peer review due to urgency. Study astrophage. Tiny, opaque, heat-resistant, exactly 96.415 degrees Celsius, radiation-absorbing cells that store energy via mass conversion, E equals mc squared. They travel along magnetic lines from the Sun to Venus for CO2 to reproduce, then return, dimming the star. The crisis escalates. Stars across the galaxy are infected, projecting an ice age and mass extinctions on Earth within decades. Tau Ceti remains unaffected, making it the target. Grace breeds astrophage samples in the lab, naming early ones Larry, Curly, Mo, and the fourth Shemp via accidental mitosis. Present-day, Grace confirms he's in the Tau Ceti system, with Petrova lines visible. He inspects the spin-drive engine, powered by astrophage, and realizes the mission is one way. Light humor and wonder mix with dread as he processes humanity's desperate Hail Mary plan. The ship's digital library and resources give him tools to survive and investigate. Grace stabilizes the ship and prepares for arrival at Tau Ceti. He spots an anomalous object, another ship, the alien Blip A. Signals are exchanged. Both vessels use astrophage tech. Grace performs an EVA to intercept a probe cylinder from the alien ship, noting an ammonia smell and heat. He activates the ship's centrifuge for better simulation of conditions. Flashbacks show crew training, the original team, including Yao and Ilyakina, and backups. An accident, explosion, kills key members, forcing Strat to drug and conscript an unwilling Grace aboard with amnesia serum to ensure cooperation. In the present, Grace sends a response model, Earth/Sol system. The alien ship replies with a star map highlighting 40 Eridani, their origin, and a tube connecting the vessels. Tension and curiosity build as knocking sounds emerge. Grace prepares for potential first contact while grappling with his forced role in the mission. Grace and the alien establish a tunnel between ships. The visitor is a spider-like, five-legged creature with a rocky carapace, no eyes, using sonar vision, and breathing superhot, high-pressure ammonia. Grace names him Rocky after his appearance. Communication starts via gestures, knocks, models, and simple math. Rocky uses base 6. They exchange atmosphere samples, oxygen for humans, ammonia for Iridians. Rocky reveals his people face the same astrophage crisis on their star, 40 Eridani. He's been alone for 46 Earth years. Iridians live longer. Flashbacks fill in more Earthside urgency, global cooperation under Strat, famine projections, and wild geoengineering ideas. The duo begins sharing knowledge. Grace explains radiation, new to Iridians, while Rocky demonstrates advanced engineering. Buddy comedy elements shine as they talk awkwardly, with Gosling's expressive performance and Rocky's puppeteered movements creating instant charm. They agree to cooperate to solve the mystery of Tau Ceti's immunity. The relationship blossoms into a true buddy movie. They tour each other's ships. Rocky enters the Hail Mary in a protective geodesic ball. Rocky, an engineer rather than a pure scientist, excels at building and fixing. Grace handles biology. They sample the planet Adrian, orbiting Tau Ceti, discovering equal astrophage levels but also a predator microbe, later named Tomiba, that eats astrophage and controls its population. Communication improves with numbers, gestures, and shared models. Grace's crude, crappy little models become a running gag. They celebrate small wins with fist bumps, adapted for Rocky's physiology. Flashbacks show crew dynamics and Strat's ruthless efficiency. Present-day challenges include time dilation, fuel management, and Rocky's long isolation. The film highlights optimism, curiosity, and cross-species teamwork, with humorous moments like mismatched sleep cycles or sonar-based misunderstandings. The pair travels to Adrian to collect Tomiba samples, building a long xenonite chain, Iridian supermaterial, for deep atmospheric retrieval. Success brings joy. They found the solution, a predator that could be bred and deployed to Venus, Earth, and the equivalent breeding world near 40 Eridani, 3 world. A major breach occurs during retrieval, fuel tank rupture, astrophage leak causing uncontrolled thrust and spin. Rocky heroically saves Grace. Injuries follow. Grace helps treat Rocky's ammonia/oxygen exposure issues. They stabilize the ships and begin breeding nitrogen-resistant Tomiba strains, critical for Earth's Venus atmosphere. Tension peaks with repairs and near misses, underscoring their growing bond and mutual reliance. They refine the Tomiba strains for varying nitrogen resistance, e.g., Tomiba 35 for Earth. Systems are built to load the beetles with samples and data for return to Earth. A discovery reveals some Tomiba can hide in xenonite, posing risks to Rocky's ship. They purge contaminated fuel and sterilize. Flashbacks cover the mission's darker side, Grace's reluctance, crew's sacrifices, and Strat's moral compromises. Present-day Grace confronts his own past cowardice. He was drugged aboard unwillingly. Rocky shares Iridian life, hermaphroditic, egg-laying, high-gravity world. Celebration mixes with melancholy as they realize the implications. Success means saving both worlds, but at personal cost. Probes are launched with instructions for breeding Tomiba on Earth and Arid. Grace rescues Rocky during a final incident. They part ways temporarily as Rocky returns to his ship. Grace faces the reality of his one-way trip but chooses selflessness. The science pays off. The Predator will propagate and save the stars. Emotional beats focus on friendship, Rocky's loyalty and Grace's growth from reluctant loner to hero. The film underscores themes of curiosity, cooperation, and finding purpose through connection. Data reaches both worlds. Earth's sun restores to full brightness, shown via frozen oceans thawing or news montages. Grace chooses to stay with Rocky rather than attempt a lonely return, living in a custom biodome on Arid, with beach/ocean elements in the film adaptation. He teaches young Iridian science, echoing his Earth classroom days. A warmer, slightly altered happy ending from the book suggests the Hail Mary might one day return home. The film closes on wonder, with Grace and Rocky's unlikely friendship as humanity's, and Arid's, salvation, optimistic, tear-jerking, and full of sweet smell of science fiction wonder. The adaptation trims some dense biology and secondary characters for runtime and flow, amps up humor and visual spectacle, IMAX-friendly space sequences, practical-ish effects for Rocky, and leans into emotional payoff. Critics note it's occasionally overlong but praise its heart, intelligence, and Gosling/Rocky chemistry. It's a crowd-pleasing celebration of science and friendship in the vein of The Martian, but deeper on interspecies bonds. If you love smart, hopeful sci-fi, it delivers.